And we are back, everybody, around the Hoot, closing out the day with our final podcast of Stage One. It was a crazy week. I think we've all had enough time to recover from the Spitfire's incredible 3-2 reverse sweep. I know Noah, it took him a little bit to come down to write the recap for that one because he was just like super jazzed.
It was an emotional roller coaster, man.
It was crazy. I think it was the perfect way to end what was a pretty successful, or I mean, from what Blizzard has said so far, a very successful Stage 1 for them. So as always, we have me, your host Wyatt, and we've got Noah to my left, Christian above me, and Travis over in the top left. And we're here to close things out with a bang. So I guess we should start off with some of the news that we have. I'll go through the patch note news, and then I'll kick it off to Travis because he's got a handy-dandy little list of all of the roster moves that we've got going on. But so we've got some patch notes. It's not live yet. It's only in the PTR. But we've got a buff to DoomFist. His hand cannon, the ammo recovery rate increased from 0.8 seconds to 0.65 seconds. So that should allow him to use that weapon a lot more frequently. And then Mei also got a little bit of a buff. Her freeze goes up from 1 second to 1.5, and the alternate fire ammo cost for her weapon is reduced to 20. So giving her a little bit more utility there. And especially with Lucio coming back into the meta, I think the freeze will be pretty good because they'll be able to slow her down pretty well. And then the big one is Sombra. Sombra, we've got a lot of changes here. So EMP no longer blocked by small objects, so you're going to actually hide from this thing. And then her hack, while it no longer gains ultimate charge from health packs, it has the cast time reduced, and then it basically shuts down Genji, Hanzo, Pharah, Lucio, and Mercy. Mercy cannot fly. Lucio can't do anything. He can't wall ride, can't use his boost.
He has no music.
Yeah, no music.
All movement.
Yeah. Pharah, no hover jets. Hanzo shuts down the wall climb. Genji shuts down the cyber agility. So basically, you've got the main heroes that are in our deck of cards that she can completely shut down.
The anti-fun hero.
Basically, yeah, she's the anti-fun. Just shut everything down. Nobody can do anything fun. So that's going to be pretty nuts. Her machine pistol, the spread is reduced as well, so which should make her DPS a little more consistent.
You said that's her hack, right?
The hack, yes. You
have no idea how excited I am to troll people in quick play on Ilios on Lighthouse. Like where Farah's just flying out there, just run over there and drop.
He was like, I can't wait to see the deaths of just Farah just falling to their death.
No!
Yeah, that's gonna be, I'm pumped for these new changes.
Or
talk about before we jump in?
Eichenwald, right by that hole right by the bridge, just run up behind them on the bridge and
she also gets what's it, like disengage or something? She can see people below 100%.
Yeah, no, this is like the biggest buff. So
oh,
her
power,
right? Her opportunity
her passive is fucking nuts now.
Yeah, it activates when people are less than 100% health.
Which is crazy.
So basically, if they have any damage,
like
if Winston gets any splash, if fucking any of the explosive characters get any splash, if Orisa tags anything whatsoever, if D.Va just holding left click clips you for like 1 damage from like 50 yards, Sombra has walls on you. In the past, it was just like if you were under half, Sombra had walls on you.
It was 50, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is like a pretty. I'm fine with it, but like anything under than full health, that's a little bit nuts.
Yeah, that's like a full Widowmaker roll.
Do you think that'll make it? Do you think that'll make it to main client?
I don't think it can.
No.
Or the game's just like broken.
Just like what? Like why would it make it to main client? Like what does that accomplish?
Stir the pot.
Stir the pot.
Stir the pot, exactly.
Meta. We don't need a Sombra meta.
A dash of chaos.
Yeah, like Deathball with Sombra might be pretty interesting.
Yeah,
might be.
So those are just on the PTR. I think they went live on the newest patch, so they should be up today. So we'll see if any of those, or I think like the DoomFist and the Mei ones, I'm pretty sure those probably should make it to main client. But we'll see about the Sombra ones because those seem pretty nutty. So we've got that on the horizon, and then the day after the finals ended, we had rumors flying about roster moves and all that kind of stuff. So Travis, I know you've got a list going on, so let us know what we've got going on as far as roster moves and trades and all that good stuff.
I do have a list going on. So I guess we'll just start with the confirmed. What's up, Christian?
Yeah, go. Never mind.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, I do. I have a list.
Good shit.
So let's start off with the confirmed stuff. I guess we'll start off with Mayhem just because Zappis kind of kicked this whole thing off. So Zappis is going to the Mayhem. They've also picked up a new assistant coach. I really don't know how to pronounce his name. It is R2DER.
Easy for you to say.
R Tutor. I'm not sure. And then they're also picking up Say a Player and Awesome Guy. So realistically, I guess after we talk about these pickups, if we have the knowledge to talk about some of these players, I guess we can ask the question, how much better does it make this team really? And Noah and I kind of got into this the other day about Mayhem. And Noah, I believe you said Say a Player is just a strictly better Logix.
Yeah, Saya player is a really good hit scan player. I think if any of our listeners was keeping up with Apex back in its heyday, like Season 2, Season 3, he was part of that Meta Athena squad with Libero that ran roughshod over NVS at the time, and then almost made it to finals, but then they fell in the quarterfinals 3-2 to win Sakai. That being said, I think it's been a while since we've seen Saya player on any kind of important stage as far as the competitive Overwatch is concerned, but Saya player is still a player to be feared. His play on hit scan is second to none, I feel. I know, for example, Michael, Congarno Michael, in his top 10 players not in the Overwatch League list, he put Saya player at number 5. And, like, people, and Travis, I think you got upset because somebody said Saya player is, like, one of the best tracers in the world, and that's not wrong. Yeah, but like it's not wrong. Not only that, his McCree's he has really good McCree's and really good Widow.
He didn't say best tracer in the world, because that I wouldn't dispute. If you're in the Overwatch League and you play tracer, yeah, you're probably one of the best tracers in the world. He said one of the best tracers in the Overwatch League. And for me, if you're one of the best tracers in the Overwatch League, you're a top 3 tracer.
All right,
that's one of the best in the league.
But I think Saya player has that potential. And I will say this, his McCree can carry harder than his Tracer, but he used to play, but like, for example, I think back in the day, Libero was like asking his coach which of the dive DPS heroes he should play. And then his coach is like, you should definitely be learning Genji. You're never going to play Tracer if we have Saya. And this is Libero, who can play everything.
Sure.
Right? In terms of being a better Logix has problems with choking. Logix has had problems with consistency in the past and being decisive and aggressive. Saya player is a very aggressive player. He likes to get in the other enemy backline's face. He likes to make them not look at their front line. He likes to absorb a lot of pressure on that tracer role. When he plays McCree, he usually likes to play a more pick-oriented style. He will bring an air of like veteran tracer play that Logix just doesn't have right now. Because Logix is good on and I love watching him play ranked because he's a beast in ranked. But as soon as he hits land, it just all evaporates like that. So.
Sure. And I mean, Overwatch League, or rather just Overwatch in general, could be similar to Dota in that when a Dota player, it's like, okay, you've got pub stars, like yeah, they're so good at ranked, and then they move to a the best way I've heard it described is, okay, you have to get really good at the game, mechanically, really good. You have to be one of the best in, ranked. And then when you get picked up by a pro team, you have to completely relearn the game because professional play is just so much different. And I think we've actually had this conversation on this podcast before. But that just kind of feels like the step that Logic is struggling with, is that he's now going from, what was kind of a weak professional scene in Overwatch to a really strong professional scene. Honestly, just to answer the question that we try to set aside for ourselves is, I think Mayhem just adding bodies of talent in one way or another. Like it, even if they hadn't added like Saya player like who is listed as one of the better players left out of Overwatch League, I think just adding bodies is going to improve this team to get more than one win. They have to by the end of the season.
They just need more options. They need more people.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. I mean, they were the only team 6 players on the roster this season. So like clearly, or this stage. So clearly, they need something, and I think anything can probably help them.
Wasn't it the Gladiators only had 7?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and I mean,
and they got like 8th or 9th. So
yeah, we'll see. So I guess we should really move through the concrete ones first. So I guess we'll handle this next chunk, which is Gigiri, Sky, Fearless, and Otto, or Ado, I'm not quite sure. 3 Koreans, 1 Chinese player, all going to the Shanghai Dragons. I don't think this is really surprising. Shanghai was the worst team in the league by far. Well, not... Florida Mayhem cut it pretty close.
But they were the only team without a win
right.
in the first stage.
So, and they were... We expected more out of the Chinese team. We really did. We expected that they could break middle of the pack.
I didn't say that, but you guys did.
I mean, in preseason, we expected they would be able to break middle of the pack.
That is true during preseason.
But I mean,
coming in, yeah.
Yeah, but after week 1, it was pretty clear this team's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Shanghai. Noah, you're probably the only person on this podcast who's going to know anything about these players before their time in Overwatch League. The only person I really know about is Giguri because she's gotten so much attention for being the first female Overwatch League player. I know she plays a ridiculous Zarya. She also plays a pretty good Winston. Diva?
Yeah, she's an off tank.
Yeah, I don't know why she's playing Winston. I mean, she can probably play Winston if she can play Diva, let's be real.
I've seen her experimenting with a bunch of heroes.
I mean, yeah. Well, I knew she played Diva, but I mean, she also plays Winston and Orisa. But I imagine that's because she's a tank player, and it's not like she didn't have a particular role to practice not being on a team.
And also, like when you're doing rank Q and Overwatch and you're a tank main, like there oftentimes you'll have to familiarize yourself with at least one of the main tanks because like every DPS main who has the fill role. Or as the role filled, they're not going to pick Ryan, Like,
right.
It's not going to happen.
Exactly.
Okay, so starting with Giguri. Giguri said earlier, like referencing what you were talking about with all the articles, talking about how there's no women in the Overwatch League. And it's like, look at Giguri, she's good. Giguri herself said, like, I don't feel like I'm good enough right now. Like, I want to keep grinding, be alone. She grinded. She was the number 1 tank player on the Korean ladder. And she's been looking very impressive, I think. Giguri hit number 1 for tanks in Korea. So like after that there's like no excuse. It's like, okay, Giguri's here, who wants her? And Shanghai obviously has a problem in the front line, so I think it's a good pickup. Going beyond that, I'm not familiar with the Chinese player they picked up, the one with the ID that's like 10,000 characters. What's his name?
Sky.
Is it just Sky, or is it like Sky and then other letters?
Liquipedia has it listed as just Sky.
Okay, because I'm pretty sure I saw a press release and it was like one of these really long names. Or I'm losing my mind. Both are equally valid. I like Fearless. I don't think he's going to necessarily excel. And we also have to mention that all the players that Shanghai's bringing in, they won't be able to play until halfway through stage 2. I read that earlier today.
Really?
Yeah.
All of the players?
Oh, I think all the players are bringing won't be able to play until later.
Interesting.
I'll try.
Is that true for every team, though?
I don't know. I only saw it with Shanghai.
Like AKM is eligible as soon as season 2 starts. Fissure and Rascal would both be, if those rumored transfers go through, they would be eligible.
It might be like visa stuff.
Well, that's what I was thinking, is that they may not be able to... Like, they might be eligible to play, but it's that they might not be able to get here and practice in time with the team.
Well, yeah, because, like, Stage 2 starts in like, what?
Next week.
Like, a week? Yeah, like 7 days.
On Wednesday.
Hell yeah!
Next week.
So we don't have much time. So definitely, I think, they're going to need to kind of. Although you think they would have been working on that stuff behind the scenes, because like we knew about the Shanghai ones like a week and a half ago.
Forever, yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
like
but
that
wasn't the AKM one announced like 2-3 weeks ago?
It
That
It
was
was announced during stage 1.
yeah,
Yeah,
it,
during
like
stage one.
that. It was like it was announced as like a
Week 2, week 3, week 4.
yeah. That it was announced, but people were like, "Oh, is it really happening?" We didn't have anything concrete. There was no like it's happening, but like there's no confirmation that it's happening. We got confirmation last week. Yeah, that AKM is joining the Dallas Fuel. I'm excited. I love the French players. I don't really know why. It's just they're just a joy to watch.
I have a theory about what Dallas is trying to do. I think Dallas saw what New York did with its DPS, and they're like, we should get one of those. Where we get a tracer specialist, like Effect, and we put him in for the maps we think we want a tracer on, but he can also flex the other hit scan, so it's fine. Right? And he has like pocket DoomFist and stuff like that.
Right.
And then we have AKM. And AKM is better at like McCree, Soldier, maybe Widow. He's more comfortable on those heroes, and he can also flex onto other stuff like Pharah. And then they pick up Rascal, who's like, Rascal, play everything. Just practice everything, go. Right? I love the pickup of Rascal for this team. Rascal is like a million times better. He's Seagull plus, essentially.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's no secret. I probably said it on all but one of these podcasts that we've done. Is that Seagull is a lukewarm bowl of nothing. Like he can play a lot of heroes, but he doesn't play them, to the nth degree. Where it's just like.
Would you rather have him or would you rather have Libero?
I'd rather have Libero. Easy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Would you rather have him or would you rather have Luxury Watch Blues version of Libero? Would you rather have Bird Rings homie or like God's homie?
I don't really know how to say this without sounding like really mean. I would rather have almost any other flex player that's not Seagull.
What's wrong with you, Jesus?
Like,
Yikes.
What did he do to you?
well, it's funny that you say that because I like Seagull. I follow his stream. Like, I love to watch him play, but like when it comes to OWL, like he doesn't do anything. Like I'm sure he's a really good voice for that team though. But the problem is that something that you need to contribute something other than your leadership.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, he's not that much of a leader because, like, I think at the end of the day, what determined whether or not Dallas won or not was like Taimu. Not even if like Taimu popped off, but like if they didn't have Taimu, they didn't have a shot calling voice.
And
Speaking of Taimu, how much are you willing to entertain the notion that Taimu switches to off tank? And just spams hog. Like he is the best hog player.
He could.
I mean, his hog was really good the other day.
Like,
He's the best hog player. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, he could. It's not unthinkable.
But then you get Effect and you get Rascal and Taimu on the same team at the same time, which I think would be nuts.
I mean, it's hard for me. So, kind of getting into what Noah was talking about. So, Rascal from London to Dallas, the transfer is pretty much confirmed. So, like, we know that the two teams are at least trying to make it happen. Everything else is pretty much unconfirmed. All we have is, what's Rod's last name? Is it Breslau?
Yeah, sure.
He goes by Slasher on Twitter. But Rod Breslau is the one providing all of these, saying that sources close to the team are providing ESPN and him with this information. So Rascal from London to Dallas Fuel is semi-confirmed. Hastro has at least said that that they're looking to grab this player.
Slasher?
Yeah.
Call him by his name. Come on, man. Give the man he decided to be called Slasher. He made that conscious choice. That wasn't an executive decision by his parents. That was Rod saying, I want to be called Slasher. That's my name now. Use the name he gave himself.
Also, just really quick, just some slight aside. Just looking at the article talking about Rascal, ESPN, because if you guys didn't know, like Slasher reported that So What was going to get signed by the Fuel, and then Hastro, their owner, is like just going off about how this isn't happening, who you smoking with your stores, all that kind of stuff.
He's losing his mind over this.
Like actually losing his mind, and like so, I just like how the subtle shade in ESPN's article. They're like, is also discussing the potential addition of former Lunatic High. So What, as reported by Rod Slasher and confirmed by ESPN, just to like give an extra of like, look guys, we actually looked into this. This is happening, but literally, Hastro was just like losing his shit, which was really funny because like everyone jumped on him too. Like Monte Cristo was on there, Jacob Wolf jumped on there, Thorin jumped in.
It's like, why are you going so nuts about this?
Yeah.
Astro's like, I swear to God,
it's like true. This is these guys' jobs. Like this is what they're supposed to do. Calm down, dude.
It's interesting for sure.
Yeah. So, anyways,
is a good word for it.
There have been other people who categorize it a different way, and I think that's a different subject for a different time. It's definitely, we could talk about the intricacies of that situation for a while. So the other rumored transfers would be Fissure moving also from London to the LA Gladiators. Which...
Hey, look at that main tank synergy that LA has. Isn't it the best in the league? Aren't they the best front line in the league, Travis?
I didn't say that. I didn't say they were the best front line in the league.
Hey, Travis, look at their synergy. Look at that synergy.
I didn't say they were the best front line in the league. I said they probably have a better front line than Boston.
They don't! They clearly don't!
Well, they proved that. They proved that they didn't. But you asked me to justify my prediction.
I would have told you you were wrong.
You did tell me I was wrong.
Good. Moving on.
Actually, no. It wasn't Boston. It was San Francisco, and they won that game. I said that I thought that the Gladiators had the better tank line, and that they would come out on top against San Francisco.
The difference between San Francisco and Boston.
That's
San
true.
Francisco and Boston.
You did. I did say earlier in the season though that I thought they had a better tank line than Boston, and you did tell me I was wrong.
Okay. Well, right. Regardless of whether or not like someone's wrong or not, I think one of the things that I like a lot about this move is that LA clearly recognized, like, okay, iRemix is not getting the job done. But not necessarily that he's a bad tank. So in bringing in Fissure, they're bringing in a guy who has leadership experience on a team, on like a star Korean team, and somebody that iRemix can learn from, right? And maybe also Bishu can learn from. Right. I think one of my biggest problems with LA was outside of their supports, I don't feel like either position particularly wowed me. Like I thought Hydration was their best TPS, and there's an argument to be made that it was Asher, and also there's an argument to be made that it was Surefour, but all of them did okay at best, right? And whether that's like them not being good enough or their frontline not being good enough to set them up for success, LA seems to think it's like the frontline not being able to set the backline up to carry. So taking Fissure, somebody who's used to working with top tier talent, recently with London, he got to play with like the best 4 DPS lineup potentially in the game right now.
Sure.
Hopefully I think this move will be good for LA, but it's going to be a rocky start.
We'll see. I mean, the addition of one player I don't think is going to drastically change.
It's a really good one player.
It is a really good one player. But I mean, like,
if Fissure does what I think he might and solve LA's biggest issue, I think they move up 2 spots in the rankings, like to the point where they're contending with Philly.
I agree with that. No, I agree with that. But I think that, with a DPS like Asher, I think that they should be looking for more. I think that LA's. I'd like to see them add more, but I mean, we have 7 days, and we've seen how long these things take to go from rumors to actual league-approved contracts.
Forever and a half.
So, I guess we do have 2 more rumors, but I mean, something that we didn't necessarily talk about with being concrete. Flower will not join with New York until next season.
Were we not?
Yeah,
about that?
like season 2.
Right, season
Not
2,
stage
and
two,
then
Year number 2.
but
Yeah.
Sinatra and Super joined the Shock in 7
They're a top
days.
tier team now. They have a slightly better Tracer Genji. You can play other stuff. Yeah.
Sinatra carry. Going to need a back brace after
Super's edition might be really huge. Like Sinatra is obviously the best DPS on that roster,
Sure.
and he's gonna do well. But I think having like if Super does as well as people are projecting him to, then I think San Francisco might be a new look team. Because like I feel like the front line for San Francisco, like we touched on earlier, is like the weakest part of that lineup, and Super's a pretty good off tank. So hopefully he might be able to help out a lot with that.
But it kind of seemed to me Shock was kind of playing the long game with the Sinatra and Super pick. Like they knew they weren't going to get into stage 1. Well, like in playoffs of stage 1, they were looking more at like stage 3, 4, and 5.
Well, yeah, because
for sure.
just looking at their ages, they're actually not coming until next stage because
Stage
they
2
don't-
or stage 3.
well, I mean, because their birthdays aren't until March, so
Yeah.
like mid-March and end of March, so
Maybe
like
like
stage 3.
end of stage 2. End of stage 2, beginning stage 3.
Yeah.
I don't think they can come in mid-stage, can they?
yeah, that's why I think it won't be until like stage 3 then, right?
If they're really not able to come in until stage 3, that doesn't sit well with me. Why wouldn't, like, is San Francisco really content on coasting through another stage?
They have Baby Bay. What are you guys talking about?
Okay, for all of the memes that I make about LeBron, Baby Bay James, like, he's not going to get the job done for San Francisco in terms of competing for any more than middle of the pack. Like,
I
the
mean,
best...
he's giving San Francisco good social media presence with the Baby Bay challenge. So
yeah,
like,
hashtag Baby Bay
you know,
challenge.
Sure. Well, I mean, like, I don't know. I would have expected San Francisco to try to do something. Like,
yeah.
They're doing something.
there are problems that have been identified that the addition of Sinatra and Super could solve, but they could also take steps towards things now. I don't know.
That's fair, but I also think they're looking at like this isn't even our complete roster. They're not.
Yeah,
even
but
at
you're
100%
willing
power
to sacrifice.
This is in a final form. And
Yeah.
then Sinatra's showing that.
But like, okay, so he joins in stage 3. What happens if your team isn't like it? You have given your team such a limited room for error if you want to make playoffs.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing too. Like like the overall playoffs, like these stages count. You know,
Yeah.
like it's the overall record. So like I think that's a good point because they're already like stage 1 wasn't too good to them, and then stage 2, I don't see why it would be any different. And then at that point, like you're hoping that they're going to turn you into like a top 3 team for the final 3 stages.
Maybe.
Well, like with the addition of Sinatra and Super, like if that doesn't happen, I don't see this team making playoffs. Because, like, the San Francisco roster, as they have it now, like, I would be floored if they cracked top 6.
They're not gonna. They don't have.
Yeah,
the-
especially
they don't
like
have- look at top 6 right now. All those teams have either decent front lines.
Fine, top 7, wherever the hell Philadelphia ended up. If they managed to crack wherever Philadelphia is, I'd be shocked.
yeah, Philly was at 7. Yeah, so exactly. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Proud of yourself. You did it.
I am. Okay, so rumored transfers. Animo to Nixel to NYXL, New York Excelsior, and then Gambler to the Seoul Dynasty. So, as the resident Dynasty fanboy, why don't you tell us what Gambler brings to this roster?
Gambler is Toby, but with stronger shot calling presence and maybe less mechanics.
So pretty good.
I did it. Yeah. Yeah. He's
What?
good. Gambler was the primary shot caller for his team, and back in the day, like teammates of his, like, yeah, if Gambler tries to do something, do it. You just do it. Just drop whatever you're doing and do it. And his team made it pretty far. I'm pretty sure he played for LW Blue, but like, been a hot minute, so all those teams are kind of like jumbled in my mind. Realistically, everybody who played and almost beat Lunatic High is LW Blue in my mind nowadays.
Are you asking about Gambler?
Yeah, Gambler.
Yeah, he played for LWB.
Okay, hell yeah. I'm not going crazy. That's what feels good now. Yeah. And right now, I think Seoul. One of the things Seoul is lacking is like a decisive shot caller.
Yeah.
And
especially towards the end of the season too.
Yeah, they would just like randomly fall apart, and it was really bizarre. I think a lot of it was like Toby having to relearn how to play the game as Mercy rather than being Lucio while also calling. Maybe it was like a part of Eska, Lunatic high DPS, who like everybody memed because he like wasn't the best, but he was a big voice on that team maybe. So bringing in Gambler, I think Lunatic Soul Dynasty is saying, okay, look, like our players are fine, our DPS are fine. Because everybody says like, oh, it's Fleta 1v12, but it's like, no, it's just like this team has no direction, and Fleta is the best DPS in the world on playing on a team with no direction.
Yeah.
So if they can find a direction and like have everyone on the team work towards it, I think Soul can be scary. I think Gambler is a good pickup. I'm sad to see Toby not start potentially because I love Toby. I love me some Toby, but like if Soul gets wins, I'll take it.
Which I think it's just funny the fact that like we're talking about Seoul in this light, and I guess like that was the last of the teams, right, or the moves, right, Travis?
Aside from Animo, which I don't really know anything about him, what he brings to the Excelsior.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I have no idea who this guy is.
And I mean, this could be.
No one doesn't know then.
Yeah,
I don't know a lot of things. Don't make me like Encyclopedia Brown.
We're not trying to make you an encyclopedia, but of all the people who, you know,
if there was someone here that would know.
Yeah. If there was someone here who would know, it would be you. And so if you don't know, then we're not really going to speculate. I mean, I don't really see what anybody besides, you know, Flower is bringing to the Excelsior. I mean, who already have incredible DPS.
Libero played so well.
Yeah,
like,
so, I mean...
Libero made a big case for himself to start. You know?
Sure, and I mean, like, the Excelsior are number 2, so I don't really... There's not a ton of improvement to be made there.
Like, they're number 2, and, like, they lost in the 3-2 finals. Like,
right.
It was super close.
Doesn't seem quite necessary.
So, let's see. We have... Do you guys want to go over any differences in our power rankings that we made?
Not really.
No.
Well, what about this? What do we now that stage 1's over and we kind of have like the first full taste of Overwatch League? What do you everyone here thinks about that? Like, what do you think can be improved? Disadvantages, advantages, things like that.
Having a big roster is better than having a small roster. Number 1.
I want my goddamn rule book.
I was gonna say Travis probably wants a rule book.
I want the code of everything that they have. I want it all. I want the rule book. I want the code of conduct. I want to know everything so that when shit happens, I don't have to be looking to Blizzard to be like, hey, you know, tell us why this happened. Oh, well, it's in our code of conduct. Can I see that code of conduct? It hasn't been released yet. Well, I guess I trust you then.
Well, yeah, like there's so many questions that we've had that could be easily answered if we like the code
of
conduct. Like, there's the fact that we don't know like
you gotta give them time to finish writing it. Like, come on.
XQC didn't give them time.
According to Nate says that they have it. They just haven't released it yet. He's like, oh, we'll just get around to that question. I mean, that's fair.
Have it.
He's like, I have no fucking. Like, could you imagine him at a press conference? Like, yeah, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. Like, I guess this makes sense.
So I think would be probably the biggest improvement that they have from like an organizational standpoint, because I think, you know, we'd all be lying or just trying to be in like a super contrarian to say that the Overwatch League wasn't a success so far from like a number standpoint, whether it be viewership, whether it be sponsorship, like I mean viewership, like it almost. Yeah, like when it wasn't a terrible matchup, maybe. it was usually around 100K. The big ones were, you know, I mean, obviously first day was like 400, but you're not going to sustain that.
That on a weekly, that on a like daily.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's like people always make the comparison to like the CS:GO majors. Like those happen literally twice a year, so you can't compare that. Like that's not a fair comparison to something that happens 4 times a week, every single week. So.
Guys, how come we don't have TI numbers every day?
Why isn't everybody in esports watching now?
Exactly, yeah. So I think people like there's a lot of people that just need to like get at like you don't compare it to the majors, don't compare it to Dr. Disrespect, don't compare it to Tyler One. Like this is not the same thing.
Team
like,
One is too high an upper echelon for Blizzard to possibly compete.
Well, I mean, like yeah, it's like an esports event
over 5 years.
Yeah, and like an esports event is not meant to be on par with a streamer because like people don't watch streamers sometimes for like the gameplay. They watch it. I mean, yeah, they watch because the game is fun, but the streamer themselves is a personality, like Dr. Disrespect, Tyler, all those guys. So it's like you got to find good comparisons there. So I think it's been good by that standpoint. You got a lot of sponsors. Toyota's in there. Like a lot, like big names that you wouldn't really expect to be in esports. You know, is
Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah, Sour Patch Kids. So like they're getting mainstream support from sponsors, which I think is huge. So, and according to I think we should talk about a little bit with the fact that the buy-in numbers could be reaching upwards of $65 million.
Yeah,
the ESPN report. I mean, I know they said it could reach anywhere from 30 to 65, but the fact that 65 is even a number that anybody thrown out.
Yeah.
When the initial buy-ins were 25, and you're going from one stage to the next, maybe asking, or I mean, from one season to the next, asking for 65 million. Like,
I feel like that number is a little bit exaggerated.
I'm sure.
It really. I mean, they still have.
There's no fucking way, right?
They have 4 more stages to go. You have no idea where this is gonna go. Yeah. Like this could go through the roof by playoffs. Like
that's the thing too. It's like we've only seen just think about how hype it was like watching the stage 1 title match. It's like we have more of those, and then we have the playoffs. We have
4 more of those, and then
we have the grand there's
and an all-star match.
Yeah, and all-stars, like, there's literally so much.
Sure, why not?
And, I mean, you already have people that are picking it up, people who don't normally pay attention to esports or aren't in this space.
How can you ignore this, though? Like...
Exactly, yeah.
Sure.
It's so, like, it's starting to... Yeah, there you go. It's starting to, permeate into everything, so...
and this game's only it's not even 2 years old yet.
Dude, that is a good point.
It's coming up on 2 years.
In chat, I do want better stats. Like Winston's Lab does a good job.
Right here on the site.
Winston's Lab does an okay job.
They do it.
Winston's Lab.
I love them, but their site is atrocious to try and navigate though.
Yeah. Like the stats tab is
find something. Oh god.
The stats tab is grayed out. Overbuff doesn't even bother, which is unfortunate. But it's kind of like, I want to know, like, how much damage gets absorbed by, like, different tanks, or, like, how much damage certain DPS are dealing out, and...
Like, this is, like, a thing that's, like, has annoyed me with Call of Duty, too. It's, like, they put up these stats for, the highlight packages, and, like, they put up things, and even in Overwatch League, like, at the end of, like, when they start Game 2, they'll be like, oh, in Game 1... like so and so did this thing and that thing. It's like so you're tracking the stats. It's like
show us.
Just let us have that. Like let us see that. Like if it was just as simple as like
them, Wyatt, because that's why they don't show scoreboards, because Blizzard isn't ready to get played.
It annoys me a bit more in Call of Duty when one person can carry a whole game, while in like Overwatch it feels much more team based.
Well,
I just want to know, like, even if it's just as simple as like just give me. Like the stuff, I don't even need like the Winston's Lab stuff, like the first kill percentage, like that's fine. But like if you just give me like damage, like your abilities.
Show me what would happen if I right clicked on their profile.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if I looked at my own stats in the game and I wanted to see what I've done, like show me that for these players, and I think that would be good. So I'm curious when that tab is going to get unlocked, because I think that'll be a huge thing as well. But I think overall it's been a success for Blizzard. There hasn't been very many negatives. Yeah, the spectator client and just the game itself.
I have a negative.
Go ahead.
I hate every single map that was played.
That's okay. Yeah. So
even Dorado, I like Dorado.
Okay. From like.
You don't like Junkertown, Noah?
I also like.
I know Junkertown is Junkertown and Horizon Lunar Colony are Noah's favorite maps.
2 brand new maps. Might as well put them into Overwatch League.
I laughed so hard when in the Stage 1 playoff semifinals, Junkertown was listed as a game type in map 5 because it was like it went like payload, control, hybrid, 2CP or whatever, and then last game type Junkertown. And I was like, honestly, it's kind of its own thing. It's like
It really is, though.
I hate that map so much. I'm so glad I'm able to see new maps. I don't know how they're gonna handle it. Maybe they rotate 4 of the maps out and then 4 more new maps in.
I think we all want to see map bans.
Yeah, I'd rather see
become
that.
a thing.
Yeah, I think
Like,
that would be a good
like
transition.
A phase.
I think that would be a good transition for Stage 3 because like Stage
That's
2.
so insane though. Like.
It also helps the dev team though, because if you spend an entire stage where every game a particular map is banned, then the dev team knows, okay, we have some things to work on.
Well, no, but like against Dallas, everybody in Korea would ban Volskaya because they were.
Well,
too
that's
good.
Dallas's problem.
Well, yeah, but like, what if everybody runs the same strat, and like, it's not necessarily a map design problem; it's a hero design problem.
Could be.
That's fair.
And
I don't
like,
know. I think they should
I'm
do something
down,
different.
and also
though.
from like trying to imagine how do you coach that? How
I
you
do see a
5 different
benefit.
maps?
Yeah, I do see a benefit
it's so
in not
insane.
banning maps, just because forcing teams to play maps that they're weak on, it makes the series more exciting because you know that your team has a chance to take a map off.
And not only that, it's like these are maps that they know are coming, so they can prepare for them and they can continue.
Well,
to
yeah,
strat
especially because
over
like
the course
I can
of a break.
Yeah, like I can
can
pull up Stage 2 right now and I can look at the map for each game. So it's like these teams know what they're going to be playing. You know, each team, they know what maps they're going to play and all that. So I think that's it creates a bit of predictability for the teams themselves.
It's consistency.
Yeah, but I still think they need to do something because like if I swear to God, like we don't see what Stage 3's maps are. They don't have that listed yet. But like when Stage 3 rolls around, if it's the same pool from Stage 1, like I might lose my mind. Like if they just keep like flipping pools, like I think that would be just a bad decision. I think for Stage 3, mix the pools. Like if you want to do pools, that's fine. Like I don't think that's a bad idea inherently. But I think you have to mix the pools up. Although I mean, Stage 3 will have Blizzard World, so there's that.
Oh God, I can't wait. I think that map's gonna be a clusterfuck of dive.
I think so, yeah, 100%.
It is a clusterfuck of dive. I'm calling it now.
It will be because it's like 2 immediate chokes on that map, and it's so hard to like play against that when you're in attack. I feel like you just shut up by Flight to Duskwood. Just sit there.
Is that the platform on top with like that from if you're coming from like second
where the Griffin ride is?
You're assuming I know, like I pay attention to things.
He hasn't played.
He's only
played Overwatch. He doesn't know any of the other games.
No, it's where that
Blizzard World
is.
is the new Overwatch map. Flight to Duskwood is in the choke, like on point A, in the choke between the 2 statues. The building to the left.
Is that where you hold on? Is it like top left from defender? Is that where you hold?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, I guess it's called Griffin. When you said the full. Oh my God! Wait, we call it Griffin. Wait, when you said the full name of the ride, I had no idea what you were talking about.
Flight to Duskwood.
I thought I said Griffin too, but
come on, no, it's across from Snacks Ramus.
Yeah. So when you go next, you're legitimately running around the outside of the map. I'm like, I have no idea what you want from me right now. Holy shit. The map's designed for easy callouts, and I can't do it. My brain is just. Anyways, it's gonna be a fun map. That's gonna be a.
I'd like to see Blizzard cave less to societal pressures. Not to say that some of the hires that they've made recently aren't... Like, okay, it's very clear that after everybody did a lot of bitching about there's not a lot of diversity in Overwatch League.
They're like, here's a black guy,
yeah,
Asian woman.
Blizzard's like, look at all these minorities popping up on the panel, and I'm like, I would rather there be people like. It's not to say that like some of these people aren't good at their jobs, but like
they hired an Asian.
Do what?
Gigery.
Obviously, Shanghai.
Okay, Shanghai's
that's a player.
That's a player.
I mean,
we're talking about people on the analyst desk and things like that.
Yeah,
like
I haven't seen her, but they did. Where is that? What is her name?
Like, am I losing my mind, or?
I don't think they've actually showed her on.
I love Golden Boy. Personally.
Yeah, her name is. I don't know what she's doing, but they announced her as part of the new cast.
Yeah. She is.
Was she the interviewer from the?
I'm not trying to pronounce it.
From the E-League major?
There's actually two girls.
I don't know, but they did bring on somebody. She's like she works with the Asian teams because she can translate. That's what she was.
She's a translator. Okay.
But I mean, like I don't even know his name, but what I'm essentially deeming as like the token black guy who's kind of taken Zoe's place. Like he makes he's entertaining, but he makes so many sports references, and I'm just like
sellout Malik is here again.
I was just like, I don't know if most of your audience is gonna grasp some of those, and like he's a little over the top. He feels like he doesn't quite know what he's talking about always.
Well, like the
guy that keeps making puns.
Whatever.
I think that is him, but like, cause he's so used to doing like the like, all right, like I'm the in-between guy, like hyping the crowd thing, which is fine, but it's like I almost feel like Overwatch League didn't really need that.
They didn't need a host.
Like it was like the way, like those in-between segments. I think the way that they had Zoe doing the stuff was fine. Like giving us like the Doris Burke kind of like, I talked to so and so in the locker room. Like that's fine. Like I like that. I don't need the stuff that we do at tournaments where you're like, all right, let's keep the crowd energy going. Like they're fine. This thing is like they're gonna be hyped no matter what. Like you don't need.
If you watched Overwatch League,
was rough. Saturday was rough. There's so many games. The crowd was like so dead.
Oh, I know.
That's true. I actually fell asleep during the finals, so
Did you actually?
Yeah, dude, I just spent all day moving.
They don't need crowd hype. If you watched LA take down Seoul and you saw the Valiant Bros that were in the crowd,
the Valiant Bros
were like, and it looked like they were at the Super Bowl. They're like slapping each other, like let's fucking go. I was like
the gladiators coming out with shields and everything.
Yeah, like they don't need a ton of hype. I am worried though. Okay, so like for all of our listeners, like a bunch of us, I don't think Christian's going. We're going to stage 2 finals in LA. So we're going to the stage 2 finals.
Somebody's gonna have to write those games, so we might have to write from
wait, who's not going again?
Christian and Steven and
I'm going.
Tyson.
I'm going now.
Okay.
So we have the all the people who are going to LA have the weekday games.
Here's my question. Do we also get tickets to Sunday now that they announced that they're going
That's what I'm worried about.
No, that's what Nate said that. Let me find this.
He said that Noah Waltzer, Travis Elliott, Wyatt, Donigan, and others who have bought tickets to Saturday's games will also have to buy tickets.
No, but let me see. I'm pretty sure.
I was wondering why he added me on Twitter. I thought he was...
Like, is Blizzard gonna change my flight for me? Like, because my flight leaves at Sunday at 10 a.m.
Yeah. He said before they announced it, like during the day, he was like, blah blah, like we're talking about it, and then he said we'll definitely take care of anyone who's already bought tickets for stage 2 Saturday with free tickets to Sunday. Should we make the change? So since they have now officially made the change, we will get free tickets for Sunday as well. So we'll get Saturday and Sunday tickets.
Great. Now I have to go and use my travel insurance to. My flight leaves at 10 a.m. on Sunday, so like I don't want to miss the finals.
Well.
So now I have to use my travel insurance to be like, hey, things happened.
Well,
I need you to change it.
It's good that they at least changed it quickly because that Saturday was really tough on everybody. I think
it was rough. Like even like
that was rough on me, and I was like watching games. Like
I wasn't able to watch all the games, but like just thinking about like the fact that there was games for 11 a.m. my time to 12 like midnight my time. Like that's crazy.
You're talking to a guy who's attended 3 internationals, fucking 8-hour days, easy, just full of Dota.
This is me coming from. This is the guy that was
the dude who stays up to watch Chinese League,
where there was a bomb threat, and Saturday was like 8 a.m. to like 3 a.m. or something.
That was such a crazy day.
That was a terrible
even though
weekend.
I was at home and everything.
That was a terrible weekend. It was cold as shit in Dallas too. Oh my god.
Unlucky.
All right.
I think.
Yeah. But so yeah, those were our, so basically we have like I think overall to kind of bring us back to together like stage 1 was a success. There were some things that we have to change. Map pools give us the damn rule book and the code of conduct. I think is there, and I think
stats
along with the stats, and I think along with the code of conduct, like some of the suspensions and fines that they gave would have been easier to stomach if we had a code of conduct.
Yeah. So that we can we can see that this player, entity, whatever, clearly violated this particular rule.
Exactly.
Like the hammer's coming down and we know it, rather than sitting here going, I wonder if Blizzard's gonna do something about this.
Exactly.
Just piling on and on and on.
Okay, to one of them we definitely knew the answer, but to others we didn't know the answer.
Yeah.
So I guess building off of Stage 1 success, they have already announced that there will be expansion teams for Season 2.
Oh, God.
I'm so excited. I just want...
Travis says he's excited now, but when they come out with the teams and Denver doesn't get a team,
I'll be heartbroken.
So sad. He's gonna be so sad.
So, like, they say
it's gonna happen soon.
They say that there's gonna be problems. I'll be so fucking mad if there's a second New York team. Like, you have no idea.
We need the Yankee and the Met legacy now.
I mean, if
you have the Boston-New York rivalry, fuck off.
I mean, LA has the 2 teams. You gotta do the customary New York having 2 team thing, maybe they'll do a New Jersey.
Yeah, like New Jersey Giants.
No thanks.
New Jersey
Giants. There are 3 teams in the Northeast.
It's a densely populated region. What do you want?
I would like either some southeastern teams or some Central
Don't
America
teams. You're a
teams.
warrior for the South, Travis. Don't fight for us. We're good. Atlanta,
Vancouver Vikings or something.
Canada needs a team. Yeah. Let's be real. Canada was 2nd place in the World Cup. Canada has a lot of players in the league. Canada needs a goddamn team.
Charlotte needs a team so that I can watch some Overwatch League when I go home for Christmas.
No, I think Toronto is probably a pretty good bet to have a team pretty soon.
Toronto is probably my number 1 choice for a non-US based team, and let's be real, they're still North America. I think Toronto is definitely like they're probably up there for a team.
They have to be, yeah.
I think as much as I want Denver to have a team, I think that they're going to play second fiddle to Washington, D.C. And possibly Chicago. I'm not entirely sure. Because the thing that you have to think about is not just like, who has the most densely populated area, like who has the most fans, is you have to think that there has to be a major investor willing to cooperate with a city government in order to bring like an actual stadium to that area.
Shout out to the wife trying to show me some shoes she bought.
Right?
What are they next to?
They're just like slides.
He'll know later.
Figure it out.
But like that, because that's my biggest problem with Chicago is like what investor is going to be like, yeah, let's try and find some real estate space in one of the most violent, populated, like overcrowded cities in
New York has a spot.
New York has a spot, but they're backed, like, to be fair, like, unless like the ownership group for like Cubs, Bulls, whatever, one of the major sports teams in Chicago is It might happen, but unless they're interested, because like for New York, they could literally, do something with. I'm not sure who's in that ownership group, but it's kind of like they could use one of the existing stadiums for
The Mets
Overwatch
currently
League.
own Excelsior. Owner of the Mets own Excelsior.
So like, because my biggest thought is teams that are owned, but so like Stan Kroenke owns the LA Gladiators. He owns a myriad of sports teams, but more importantly, like the reason that I say that the Gladiators should be the team to move to Denver to create a Denver franchise is he owns the Avs. You can use, and he owns the Nuggets, so you can use that arena for Overwatch. Like,
does Stan Kroenke own any LA teams? The Rams, right?
Yeah, he owns the Rams.
The Rams,
Okay,
yeah.
He owns the Rams. He owns Arsenal in the EPL.
Which professional sports organization does Noah Wilson own? Like,
I don't think they have ties to a team, do they?
Well, the thing.
Valiant.
No, he runs the Valiant. He means
No, I know. I mean, but
he
I mean,
means like a professional sports team outside of
Yeah, yeah.
Overwatch League.
I
The
was
thing
trying
is,
to-
though,
trying to point out that like it doesn't necessarily have to be 1-to-1.
right? But the problem
No,
that
yeah.
you face there is that the LA teams get a free arena. Blizzard has built them an arena.
I remember reading something about this. How it's either the Gladiators exclusively get to use it or the Valiant do. I'm pretty sure it's the Gladiators, but or
There's no way they could not work something out to both use it.
No, actually,
Like-
no, because the Valiant will play in LA because they because like I think
we read the same thing. We just can't remember it.
I think like LA Live or something like that. Because
I'd be interested to see
I
that.
don't know if it's LA Live, but because the same ownership group that owns like Staples Center and all of those things owns the Valiant, so I think they were going to build like a different, or they would play somewhere else. So I think the Gladiators would probably get the
Okay.
Blizzard Arena,
Yeah.
and then Valiant would just play somewhere else.
It'd be
Gotcha.
LA and Burbank, so like it's technically different.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like it'll take you 40 minutes to get between the two, probably. So.
Sure, but I mean, I could see, you could easily see an LA team getting the Blizzard Arena. An LA team isn't necessarily the best example. I think the best example for a team that doesn't necessarily have to, be associated with a major sports team is the Outlaws. The Outlaws are owned by Optic, and yeah, they're a big corporation, but they don't have, it's not like they're owned by the Cowboys and they're going to have their own
I feel
little
like Optic
mini
is, like,
arena
its
inside
own-
AT&T.
Optic's like its
I'm
own,
down for that.
because like Optic is just its own little.
They are, but I mean, like
Yeah.
the point is like it's attractive to an investor
No,
if
yeah,
you're
100%,
if you're like
yeah.
if you're gonna go now since things have been upped. It's like, okay, I'm spending $60 million on a franchise spot for this team, and I have to build an arena like for this team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
such a hassle. Oh my god.
if you
Well,
already
like, I wonder if that like the higher price might be to like make sure that they have enough capital to build a team or to
Good.
build a stadium or something
Good.
like that.
I mean,
Because they're like, all right, especially because I think season 2 is going to be in still Blizzard Arena, right? Not until season 3 when they do their own
Yeah, potentially.
things.
Like
Yeah.
it's
I don't see
potentially,
them
yeah.
I don't see them being able to turn this around so quickly. Like the logistics are a nightmare for sure.
right.
Yeah, because I mean, you're looking if they do that in season 3, that's 2020. So like 2 years from now, all these teams have to have a state like an arena in their hometowns, like their home cities. Like
That's a lot of work.
that's a lot of work. 11 different arenas, or no? I mean,
Right.
probably 14 or 15 by then.
Well, I mean,
Psycho
that's
amount of
the
work.
biggest reason that I discount certain places. Like that's the reason that I don't think Seattle will get a team.
Okay.
Like that's the biggest reason.
Yeah, because there's nowhere in Seattle where you're gonna put that. Like,
Unless you're going to use Key Arena and Seattle's renovating.
Even then, I don't
Well, they're
think-
renovating Key Arena because they want an NBA team, and that NBA
Yeah.
team's going to overlap with Overwatch League.
Well, not only that, but like you're not going to use Key Arena for a weekly like play here twice a week kind of.
Right. It's going to be a little
something like-
smaller.
Yeah, exactly.
I could see Vegas getting a team, just because like esports betting is about to become way more real than it is now, and like
Vegas has a good history with esports, anyways. Like Evo was always there,
right?
So like they have a history of doing that kind of stuff too. Plus, they have, because of all of the casinos, like they have plenty of space where they can put on something
right
like that too.
Washington D.C. The reason that I hedge my bets on this one is because NRG is like the official esports team of Washington D.C., but they own the San Francisco shop.
Yeah, they already ran away to San Francisco.
So like I'm not sure what's
happening.
That could be
what.
Dude, that could be so volatile.
Washington.
That's what I'm thinking is like that could get so volatile. Like NRG could just be like, okay, we're gonna vacate the San Francisco franchise before we have to build here and go to Washington D.C. Or that it could get even messier if NRG is like, well, this team's not doing so hot, so we're gonna sell a complete team and take the Washington franchise.
I don't think anybody's gonna do it first 3 years. Like,
sure.
No. You can't. Like,
don't put it past the Stan Kroenke team to relocate.
Blizzard won't, like, Blizzard can't allow it. That'd be too much.
Yeah, Blizzard would pull a vetoing the Chris Paul trade and be like, nope, this is not gonna happen.
Exactly. Boy, that was rough, man.
You ever think about that trade? Like,
yeah, I was thinking about it the other day.
Nothing to do with Overwatch, but like, can you imagine how different
it
the NBA
shafted us so hard
if that trade went through?
But then we got AD, so like, we got AD. That was the NBA's gift back to us, saying, "Hey, we fucked that up." It was like, you know how sometimes if your team gets a bad call and everybody in the world knows it's a bad call, your coach will go to talk to the ref, and the ref will just
then the ref will give you one later
quietly in the corner. Yeah, he'll give you one. That was our gimme. So like, hey, I'll take it. I'll take AD.
We have an ESPN article that kind of talks about how they think that the Overwatch League, they struggled apparently to get, foreign teams like London and Seoul and Shanghai. They struggled to get like foreign investors because I think it's Shanghai is the only actual foreign investor that owns a foreign team because obviously London is owned by Cloud9. Seoul, who owns Seoul?
KSV. They're based out of America.
Okay.
Because they even mentioned like trying to get European teams. Like I know, looking at like EU LCS, they're struggling trying to do franchising because the way people look at investing and all of that, like outside of the United States, is so different.
Right. Well, because we take big risks, and
exactly,
they don't.
Yeah,
they need more of a sure thing.
They need a lot of stability.
They're cowards.
That's what I heard.
About Europe.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Which is why I'm really hoping, because like look how long it's taken Europe. Like the fan base has been there for a while, and just now we're getting a little bit more serious about. Oh well, the NFL could have a London franchise soon. Like just now.
It's like how many years have they been charting teams off to London back and forth?
I was a child when the Saints played in London.
Right.
And like I'm a man now. It's still not happening. Like I don't know where they're dragging their feet.
So, I'm really hoping that this leads to a lot more stateside teams, and that's selfish. It doesn't necessarily bode well for the global success of Overwatch League, but I want.
But honestly, like I think you for something like this to have success, like you almost have to, like you gotta like get people in the States onto it first, and then you can expand. Especially like I think having in the States, like I'm still trying to figure out what's gonna happen when it's like, okay, the Valiant play Seoul, so then like okay, we're going all the way to Korea for like a game, and then now we're coming back to America. Like
they'll be there, they'll practice. The way that it works kind of in Dota is obviously you go beforehand. So like they'll play a match somewhere or at home, and then they will fly to Korea like that night or the next day, and then they will spend all week there acclimating and practicing. And what will likely happen is they'll try to run teams in a little bit of a pattern that have to play those teams, so that they'll run them to London, and then they'll run them to Seoul, and then they'll run to Shanghai, and then to Seoul.
They bring more than one team with them, so like, they're not going just to play the Dynasty, but they'll play like, you know, I don't know whoever else is going to go out there too.
Right.
Sense.
Somebody else, maybe.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Probably will.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so. We've got expansion coming soon. We've got a lot of positives. We got some negatives, but overall, good success. And next week we're right back into stage 2. So
hell yeah.
You know, shout outs to Blizzard for keeping this thing just rolling right along. So
fast turnover.
We'll do predictions next week.
So I love that we're opening with like Soul Valiant.
Dude, that first slate of games is just insane.
Like, it's the first week. We've got a lot. Like, we've got a stage 1 title rematch on.
Yeah, we gotta save
Friday.
We gotta save it for next week. We gotta save it.
No, I know. I'm just giving them you gotta give them a little something to. You gotta want more. You know, you gotta bring them back. Gotta bring them back. So yeah, I think that's about it though. I think we've had a lot of good stuff. If you want to check out our power rankings, those are up. No surprise, Spitfire's number 1. How can you not put them up there after what they did with the Excelsior?
Excelsior did have the better record.
They did, yeah. I mean, I think it is worth noting, like, looking at the final standings, the Spitfire were actually in 3rd because the Outlaws had the same record. 4 teams finished with the same record. Houston, London, LA Valiant, and Seoul all were 7 and 3, but the Spitfire and the Outlaws had a better win differential, and Outlaws actually came in number 2. So, like, shout outs to Outlaws. Like, they kind of surprised a lot of people, and I think they justified the that early 5th ranking that we gave them that almost made Noah lose his head. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for us this week. So definitely come back next week. So we'll go back to our regular thing. I don't know if we're gonna do power rankings just because they would like maybe with the new rosters. We'll see. But keep an eye on that. And then we'll come back next week for our predictions and all that good stuff like normal. So that's going to do it. All of our Twitters are either above our boxes or below our boxes. It's all there. Double check, see who's who, talk about what's what. And that's going to do it. So we'll see you guys next week, and have a great week.
Peace.